On today's show, Chris Paul is no longer an option for the Dallas Mavericks, according to, well, probably Chris Paul. We'll explain on today's Locked On Mavs.
Stop it! Stop!
The number one pick will go to the Dallas Mavericks. Cooper Flagg will fly in Dallas.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave you.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like that.
And welcome. You're locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Dallas Mavericks for 10 years. Thanks for being an everydayer. Make it Locked On Mavs your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet, $5 bet wins. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member, covering the Mavs for 10 years, right alongside me, the playback person, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Speaking of right beside you, we were
That's right.
full-on Pacers fans tonight. So
We stood up, we were cheering, we watched the game together, we were full
Nick
on
and
standing in
myself
front of the
were-
TV.
Yeah, standing up in front of the TV, about 2 feet from the TV. No more, hey, let's go!
It's just something about like the underdog team, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? Today's episode, we'll talk about the finals. We'll break down some of our thoughts, and we'll might as well. It's the biggest stage, so we'll talk about game one of the finals. But let's start here, Isaac. Chris Paul went on Pat McAfee's show, and at first he talked about Cooper Flagg, and that comment was pretty great. And so we'll talk about that one in a minute. But he also kind of talked about his free agency. And the first comment that I heard that I found notable was Chris Paul said that he was freaking out in his Spurs group chat. They're like the other Spurs players, and he said we were all excited when we jumped up into the lottery, into the top 4 of the draft lottery. And so I was like, ooh, interesting. Sounds like he's still pretty like possessive of that Spurs group. Sounds like he's still feeling pretty connected to that Spurs group. And then he started talking about his family. And this is a message and a point that we've been making on this show, because Chris Paul would be an incredible ad for the Mavericks. He would be an incredible, stopgap point guard for the Mavericks. If they could get him to come off the bench when Kyrie comes back, then that would be just an incredible transition. And so we considered him an option for the Mavericks for a while. And then he started talking about his family on the show, and he said this: I talked to my family about it. My son is 16. My daughter is 12. Past 6 seasons, I have lived without them. I've been away the last 6 years. That's the conversation. Isaac Harris, as a father, that sounds like a conversation that this guy might be moving back to LA.
Yeah, I mean, we did our prediction thing the other day, and that's why I predicted him go to the Lakers. I mean, I guess he could go to the Clippers too and go back home, if we want to say that, to where he had some great years for the Clippers. But yeah, I mean, you don't blame me, bro. I mean, he's going to be 41 next year. The fact that he's still playing like effective basketball is pretty crazy to think about, especially at his size. But I think there's so many teams out there that just love to have him. I mean, look the impact he had on the Spurs last year. And so, yeah, I mean, I would love him in Dallas, especially on a minimum deal or whatever it is. Like, it would be a great addition to the team. But yeah, I think he's been going back to LA for a while.
Either going back to LA or still staying with that Spurs crew. But either way, to me, I think Chris Paul is off the table for the Mavericks now, which is unfortunate.
I mean, I thought he was going to go there last year because of the family thing.
Yeah.
But I think, and he probably did too, maybe.
He got 10 mil and he got to start.
Yeah. Then the Spurs came in and was like, hey, we'll give you over $10 million at the age of 40. And he's like, all right, cool. I'll move down to the Riverwalk, play with Wemby.
He just said, y'all got an airport?
So yeah, it is kind of, I understand it. It's kind of a bummer from a Mavs perspective. And, it's not like the door's officially shut, but it feels like he's probably going to go back home to family.
Oh, I think the door is officially shut. That sounded like a guy that was dead set on, all right, I've got to make the decision for my family, because there comes a time in every player's life when you start making decisions for family and not just for yourself and your career. I mean, career salary, Chris Paul, $400 million.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I mean,
Guys made some money. He's made some money out there. And so at this point, it makes sense that he would make a decision for his family. And so then for the Mavericks, like, are they screwed now? What are their options? Because another one of their options, we were talking about it during the game. Andrew Nembhard is not leaving the Pacers. They're keeping him. He's under contract anyway. contract goes up. But if they have to dump somebody or dump somebody's contract, I don't think it's going to be Andrew Nembhard because he was vital for them in that game 1 of the finals.
Yeah, no, you're not trading Nembhard. I mean, it's going to be something like Toppin. Toppin. I mean, they're going to have to shed some money, even if they are willing to go into the luxury tax and stuff. So, we'll see what the number for Miles Turner comes in at. But yeah. Nembhard's not going to go anywhere. He's incredible, man. Love that guy.
And so that it's the Mavs options are like narrowing down now already. It seems like on that. And so now if you're the Mavericks and you can't get Chris Paul, you're probably not going to get Nembhard. We talked about Kobe White. Maybe that's been a possibility. That Mavs have been connected. Mavs have been connected to Lonzo Ball through rumors from Mark Stein. They've been connected to Drew Holiday. And so where would you go if you're the Mavericks now?
Oh, I mean, for me, it's always been Kobe White. Like, go get Kobe White if you can. That's been number one dream scenario. It's just a matter of how big do the Mavs want to swing for a player? Like, do you just want to bring in some minimum guys to try to piece it together? They have the mutual interest with Exum to bring him back. Do you want to do an Exum, Brandon Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, something like that? It's just like some minimums to piece together. Or I don't think that they're going to go that route. I think they're going to go to trade route. If it's not Kobe White, is it Alonzo Ball? Is it somebody else that, it just feels like Chicago's a natural suitor in there, but there's also like cheaper options than Kobe White if you call up about Alvarado in New Orleans or something like that. If you want a little bit better than a minimum guy, but not paying the full price for a Kobe White. So I don't think they're screwed by losing out on Chris Paul. It would be awesome, but I think there's plenty of other options, and I think they're going to go the trade route anyway.
Yeah, because the minimum options, there's not going to be too many. You mentioned them. The Exum, Dinwiddie's probably still an option there. Kyle Lowry. Did you see the video of Jared McCain calling Kyle Lowry and telling him good morning?
No, I didn't see it.
There's been this trend where guys will just call.
I've seen the good nights.
Yeah, a guy will just call one of his friends and just say, "Hey, man, I just wanted to say good night," and then just see how they react. And they've all been very funny. Like Jared McCain did the opposite. He just said good morning to Lowry, and Lowry was like out golfing, and he was like, "It's the afternoon, man." Like, so that he could be an option. We mentioned Markelle Fultz before. How about our old friend Dennis Smith Jr.? He was hooping with Klay Thompson and with D'Angelo Russell earlier today. That was an interesting.
Speaking of,
and our own Keith Pompey from Locked On Sixers reported that the Sixers are going to work out Dennis Smith Jr. So it looks like he's trying to get back in the NBA.
Let's go. He deserves to be in the league, man. Let's do this.
I agree. And if the Mavs can offer a spot for him, would you go for it?
Yeah, of course.
What if they brought in Exum and Dennis Smith Jr.? Are you like?
I don't think that's enough.
I think I would be nervous at that point if that's what they decided to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're bringing Exum back on a minimum, then you have Exum and Brandon Williams. So then I think it's just a trade guy at that point. So, yeah. Because
you have one open roster spot right now if you bring back Dwight Powell on his player option. And obviously this is all assuming Kyrie re-signs and does all that too. Mm-hmm. But you got one open roster spot. So you have to trade somebody like you said, but I don't think they can get like two minimum guys right now with the roster spots.
No. Yeah.
You'd have to dump Dwight or something. And dumping Dwight is a possibility now because anything is a possibility for this Mavs team.
Well, Dwight's got to decide on his player option, which you assume he's going to pick that up. So
fair, yeah.
We'll see.
So yeah, and then the trades. We talked about a lot of different trade options, and we'll get into some of those throughout the summer. We've done an episode on it before, but that's where the Mavericks are. Chris Paul no longer an option in my mind. I'm just writing. Yeah,
I mean, another point guard in Dallas might be heading somewhere else. So we'll see.
Who's that?
No, I don't know.
Paige isn't going anywhere, Isaac.
She better not.
She better not. Coming up, let's talk about the NBA Finals. The Pacers shocked the world. What did they do? Let's go. What did we learn from that? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA Finals are raging right now. Isaac Harris, the Game 2 odds are already up. The spread is already up. Guess the spread. Guess the line here for Thunder versus Pacers game 2.
OKC 8.
OKC minus 11.
Okay.
They got to think, hey, you got to win game 2. It's like, all right, they're putting more money on it. The series spread, though, remember it was like minus, wasn't it minus 700?
700, yeah.
It was 700 for the Thunder. Guess what it is now?
Minus 450.
330 for the Thunder. They really knocked that down after that game 1 win by the Pacers.
That percentage. It's like 70-something% of whoever wins game 1 or something. But
Fascinating. So all kinds of good stuff like that on FanDuel. Go check it out. See what else is available. They also have WNBA odds for our Wings. Wings against the Sparks. Wings are a 1.5 point underdog against the Sparks for their game on Friday night.
I was going to say 3. All right.
All kinds of great things on that. New to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Please gamble responsibly.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show. The Raccoon Squad is what we call our listeners. If you listen every day, you're part of that squad, and we appreciate it. You're also part of the squad if you join the Locked On Mavs text line, 214-643-8637. You get a couple weeks free, and then after that, it supports the show, and you get Mavs Rumors sent to your inbox, sent straight to your phone. And you get our thoughts, updates on it immediately. As soon as the Chris Paul quotes came out, we sent you thoughts on it. We'll send you the show every day, all that kind of stuff on there. So again, 214-643-8637. All right, Isaac, the NBA Finals, Tyrese Haliburton. I was yelling at it the whole game, wasn't I? I was sitting there going, this is his time. He's got to show up now. You got to do something. He finishes with 14 points, 6 of 13 from the field, and one of those, a dang game winner. From him, the drive, stop, pull up to his right, fade away 2-point shot from Tyrese Haliburton. Like, this guy is having an incredible run in the finals, and I feel good for Rick Carlisle. Great for him to get that first win, and it felt good to see the OKC fans silenced and walking out.
Dude,
Quiet. It was such a quiet arena.
Obviously, Haliburton is nowhere near what Dirk was in 2011. But just to see like Carlisle take another team like this, even just seeing how people talk about that Mavs team is like, man, it was just a magical run, and it's Dirk and some older guys and just these like the cast of characters that fit perfectly together for this magical run, and then you have Dirk in these clutch moments, and it's kind of like in a way it's like the Aldi brand Dirk for Nick, for Rick there.
For me too. It's the Aldi brand.
For Haliburton, and it's just like, man, they never go away. They're so much fun to watch. And I was thinking about this, just in regards to like Nembhard and Haliburton, and it's just like it just shows you again the importance of having two creators. It is. And I'm not trying to do the like, oh, Dallas is getting it wrong with the double big, but it's just like the two creator thing. You just almost have to have it. Like you look even on OKC's side, it's like SGA does the most of the stuff, but even look what OKC did. They made an adjustment before the series even started. And it's like Hartenstein, you're going to come off the bench. We're going to go smaller already, not just in the fourth, which we can talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah.
But they opted for not just another wing perimeter guy, but another ball handler. So it's like you have all these other ball handlers on the floor, pass, move, so much movement. And then, they obviously have, Jalen Williams. It's like Jalen Williams and SGA, there's your creators, your main creators. Mm-hmm. The other side having Haliburton and Nembhard together and seeing what Nembhard did in the fourth quarter there. They were running stuff through him instead of Haliburton, and running these pick and rolls and stuff. And he was making the right decision almost every time. And it just like, don't want to do the thing going back to the Luka trade, but it's just like, you've seen why the success of like a Luka and Kyrie together, of having both of those creators. This is why so for so long, it was like, they got to get another creator with Luka. And
then Brunson became it, and then they lost him. We were like,
yeah. And it's just like, and then you get Kyrie or the KP trade. Like, we were on this podcast right afterwards. There's people throwing a living fit over that trade of like, how could we give up on KP right now just for Dinwiddie and Bertans? Yeah. What are we doing? And I was on this podcast saying, dude, I actually like it. I think it's going to be good.
The day of you were.
We're going to have, like, I think they need another creator of Dinwiddie, Brunson, Luka. It's just the importance of having creators. And this is why when you go into this offseason for Dallas, it's like, all right, you're not going to have Kyrie for a while. Love Cooper Flagg and PJ and some of these guys, Clay, but they're not like creators for the most part. Not like a Nembhard and Haliburton. And you got to have some of those guys. And that's what gives me a little bit of worry whenever you build your team around the double big stuff is you watch games like tonight.
The other thing that I was listening to the Locked On Pacers and Thunder crossover today. Excellent stuff. Great stuff from both of those guys. I mean, just high level stuff. They have been traveling and been with the team and all that kind of stuff. But like, we're talking about Andrew Nembhard here. We're not talking about like, you know, this is a player that they brought in and developed. They've done such a great job developing players. And that's another thing is that you can't always just bring in like a ready-made project. You have to build up some of these guys because they have to be making less than market value at a certain point in order for you to build a roster, especially having multiple like max guys. And the other thing is I think Anthony Davis brings some of that too, where Anthony Davis is a little more of a playmaker and you can put the ball in his hands and he's going to create stuff and he creates in a different way. And I think you have to have the multiple like initiators for sure. And we've been harping on that all year and all offseason, this is why. But I think for the other thing that I learned is listening to that crossover, they both said these are two teams that bucked every single trend for basketball, like for the playoffs. The Thunder were like, all right, we're gonna keep playing the way that we are. We're gonna force all these turnovers. We've got this incredible defense, all that. We're gonna play all these guys. We're gonna play like 10 guys. Today in the first quarter, they played AJ Mitchell. they played like all these guys. And the Pacers were like, we're just going to keep our pace. Everybody slows down in the playoffs. No, we're going to keep it up and keep pushing it. We're also going to play a bunch of guys too.
I was going to say, Rick's been playing a bunch of guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And it proved to me like, okay, you can win in a bunch of ways. And that's the one thing about this 7 different champions in 7 years is that there's not one set way to do it anymore. You don't have to have a Shaq and Kobe, a Steph Curry and KD, a LeBron and a Kyrie. Like you don't have to have both of those guys being 2 top 10 players. You can win. Like the Pacers don't have a top 10 player.
No, they don't.
Right? Like, and they're there.
Yeah, and obviously, if your player is good enough, like a Jokic, then you're not taking them off the floor, even if they go small. Like
right.
You're just not going to do that. But it also reminds me, and some of our longtime listeners is going to really enjoy this. I think back to that like Pacers Knicks series. It felt like we heard so much about Mitchell Robinson, right? Like dude, look at his hands, the boards, the offensive rebounds. This is crazy. And I get it. What a luxury it is. The block shots. Look at his defense in the paint. It's so much better in Cat and all this stuff. Do you know the Knicks won the rebounding battle in that series by 33 rebounds? They won it by 33 rebounds.
Yeah.
And they lost the series in 6 games. So it's like, for as much as like we love the Mitchell Robinson minutes and all this stuff, you still got to be able to score the dang basketball. Like you got to have the creators, all this stuff. And it's like, and that was my whole rebounding thing years ago in that playoff run was there were so many old heads back then saying, dude, there's no way. If they can't keep Rudy Gobert off the boards, they don't have a shot in this series. And that's why I was on this podcast saying, guys, it doesn't matter if they lose the rebounding battle. They can still win this series. For that team, that roster, and in that series, they can lose the rebounding battle every night and still win this series and win these games. And they did. And then that's turned into years of Isaac hates rebounds and all this stuff. It's just more of like, that's
the tattoo you got, right?
It is. Rebounds matter. So it's just like I watch a game like this, and even looking at Dallas's roster building with the 2 bigs and everything, and you look at like the end of the game tonight, Hartenstein's not on the floor. And it's like, they're going small. Like there were times that Chet wasn't even on the floor. Yeah. And they were running like super small. What happened with Miles Turner? They opted with an Obi Toppin who, and not just like a shooting thing, like Miles Turner can shoot the lights out, but Obi Toppin can move. He's more agile. He can move his feet faster and stuff than a Miles Turner. And it's like both teams in the biggest stage possible going smaller. And it's like, all right, what would happen? For everybody, it's like, dude, extend Gafford. dude, we're building around Lively, and AD is the 4. He wants to play the 4. And it's like, when realistically, if Dallas was playing in that series right there, you know who's probably on the floor? Just AD.
Yeah.
Like, Gafford and Lively's probably sitting on the bench watching the end of that, the whole second half of that fourth quarter. Not saying you never need them, but it's just like, the
value of the guard.
Yeah, for me, it's just way more important to have 2 elite, great creators, playmakers. And you've seen that tonight with Nembhard and Haliburton at the end.
You're talking about Obi Toppin, and he hit 5 threes tonight. And you were trying to compare him to like the 2011 team, and he would be Peja Stojakovic.
Don't compare him to Peja.
Just tonight he was. And that one game, what was that one game? He had like 4 threes, and
he started off really bad.
Oh, everybody was pointing out his turnovers. The whole team had 19 turnovers in the first half, and they only had 5 in the second. That was huge too.
24
coming up,
turnovers tonight.
Coming up, the Mavs got a shout out, and we'll get into just how the Pacers got this win and what it means, and we'll talk about that more. Come on. All right, Isaac, the Mavs got a shout out. It was one of those jump scare moments, like caught you off guard, where
we both looked at each other.
OKC was going on a run. Rick Carlisle steps out for the Pacers on the floor and calls a timeout, and Mike Breen goes, "Timeout, Dallas!" And we were like, "What?" Like, thanks for that, Mike Breen. Thank you. Appreciate
His
that.
old team.
Did that just feel like that just felt like one more like stab in the arm, like just one more like ugh. Well, I was here a year ago. It was in the building a year ago.
I was gonna say a year ago we were at the TD Garden in Boston. Me and you pregame, walking around on the floor,
Aura farming,
and just soaking in, being at the finals as 2 dudes that's just like, this is crazy that we're here right now.
Didn't grow up near NBA teams like at all, and we're just like, this is
we're like, dude, we're walking on the floor before an NBA Finals game.
Yeah,
that feels like forever ago, right? Like,
I know.
For me, I don't know if it's just because of everything that's happened in the Mavs world since then, but that, even though it was just 12 months ago, it feels like 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know. It's just wild to think about that.
I have aged 3 or 4 years in this last year.
I've started to get some grays on the side. So,
well, that's because of some certain things happening.
Yeah, some other things happening, but I'm going to get more grays in the near future. Can I do a first take, little mini segment?
Oh, here we go. Everybody loved your TNT thoughts, by the way.
Wait, did they really?
No.
Oh, they just roasted me over it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Where is SGA on the best players in the world list right now?
Oh, 2.
Okay. I just saw a graphic the other day, and it was like one of those start bench cut thing.
Yeah.
And it was like SGA, Brunson, and I think Haliburton. And it was like, SGA's on a different tier than that. And so then it was just like, how many players are above him in the NBA as far as best players in the world? And it's like, so just Jokic probably?
Jokic, SGA, and then, you go Giannis, Luka, whoever else.
Yeah. Okay.
Cooper Flagg.
Yes. Yeah. Cooper Flagg. Omax, probably at 12.
See all of our favorite players. Dorian.
Somewhere through there.
Maxey, that one year they wanted to trade him for Larry Marketing.
Well, I thought about Dorian when I was watching Aaron Nesmith try to dribble in the finals game.
Oh, no.
I was like, you need the Dorian treatment right now. You need to just hey, defend your butt off, shoot an open 3, but don't ever dribble. And Nesmith was struggling with that a little bit.
The OKC offense really let them down. SGA did pretty much everything. 38 points in a finals game. Only got to the free throw line 8 times, which is, I guess, low for him.
Shocking.
Took 30 shots. Wild. But they only had 13 assists as a team. To me, they were not generating enough offense outside of just ISOs. And then, what did I say? They missed 40 2-point shots in this game. Yeah. Just bad 2-point shots over and over and over again. And it reminded all right, you got to get some ball movement going. You got to get some other players getting involved with kicking out to other people.
One of my favorite things after games like this is both fan bases saying, well, this is never going to happen again.
Yeah. Right.
It's my favorite. Like OKC sitting there saying there's no
Obi
way.
Toppin one hit 5 threes.
Yeah. All the stuff. Pacers are saying we're never going to have 24 turnovers again. Dort's never going to hit 5 threes again. Halliburton's going to be more aggressive and all this stuff. And it's like both sides, both fan bases are like, we got this. Like, this is why type of thing. And it's just.
You heard Carlisle at halftime. They went into the locker room and Carlisle was like, listen, 19 turnovers. How many points they score off of it? 9? 9. Yeah, we got them right where we want them, basically. That's like basically what he said at halftime.
Guys, the NBA's got to do something about Dort. All right. They gotta complain. What?
Dort. Go for it. No, I'm here for it.
No, he's got to be contained. All right. They gotta rein this thing in. And he's such a stout, like strong player. He hit some threes and stuff tonight. But if you ever do hey, I'm going to watch one player for multiple minutes in a game, it's tough watching Dort because it's like, dude, you're kind of dangerous. And also like, what are you doing? Like, you don't have to do this. The flopping and selling stuff for a guy that strong is so like, it throws me off so much. It's so off-putting. And I'm like, dude, what are we doing? It's beyond just the screens. Like, that is called the Dort now, all right? Going over the top of a screen, jumping up, acting like, and going full horizontal and rolling around the floor.
It's the musical theater move where the guy goes over the chair. Have you ever seen in a musical theater where they put 2 hands on the chair and they throw their legs up in the air and like a cartwheel kind of thing? Yeah. That's what he does every time he goes around a screen.
But now it's just like all the other stuff, just like going through the lane and just like running into people and falling down, or just, man, I don't know. It's just, he's rising up the ranks very fast of, gosh, you're annoying and I want to like you. Like, I want to like you, but he's got to be contained. They got to rein that in.
It's the flopping thing. This is what it is.
Yes. But some of his flopping stuff is just like pure, like dangerous to some of the players though. Like,
oh yeah, well he's hurt people. Like we feel like we complain about this all the time about him.
Yeah.
What did you think about the move of them? We talked about it a little, but changing the starting lineup before the game.
I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I kind of get it because like when you do that and you put Chet at the 5, you're running 5 out. They're probably looking at some of the Pacer stuff. It's saying like, hey, they're running 5 out when Turner's out there at the 5. You're also looking at this just this like fast paced Pacers team that they're looking at and saying, hey, they're going to come out and just try to be guns blazing from the opening tip. And you do have all these guys out there. Like, you do have Nembhard and Haliburton and these guys that's going to get out and run, multiple creators. Do we really want SGA spending 35, 40 minutes tonight guarding, chasing around Haliburton or somebody? So, they put Case and Wallace on Haliburton. They had SGA on Nembhard. I mean, that Nembhard SGA matchup tonight was just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
They know each other, Team Canada and stuff. Like, I was reading something earlier this week that the first time they like played against each other or practiced with each other is when they were like 8 or 9.
Wow.
And
they're almost like cousins.
Did you know? You say cousins. It's crazy. SGA actually played his cousin last series.
Hey, did you see this stat about teams down 7 or more in the final 3 minutes?
No, I haven't.
NBA Finals down 7 or more points in the final 3 minutes. Teams were 0 and
69.
Nice. 121.
Wow.
You're only off by half. They are now 1
crazy.
and 121 over the last 28
wild.
postseasons. Kurthika posted that. Mark Stein retweeted it. Great stat. Incredible stat. The beat. The Pacers, they just keep doing this, man. It's like Team of Destiny. It's wild.
They are, man. And there's so many Dallas connections with it. And to see, tonight, we even said it. We were sitting there, watching one of the timeouts, and there's Rick, Jenny, and Mike Weiner. And it's just like, three people we've seen in Dallas for all these years, and both of them went with Rick there, and it's cool seeing them celebrate and stuff. And Lloyd Pierce is a great coach too. He might get interviews which I guess there's not many jobs left in the NBA. Never mind. But
is the Suns job taken? Did we get any updates on the Suns job?
I saw Michigan State.
They're moving them to East Lansing.
Yeah. Phoenix is like, how can we trade KD to get a lottery pick to take Jace Richardson? There's a Michigan State guy that's going to go in the lottery. Can we take him?
Wild. But man, NBA Finals lived up to the billing. Incredible game. Loved every minute of it.
It was fun, yeah.
Absolutely great. Next game's on Sunday night, and we'll be back Sunday night talking about more Mavs stuff and more rumors. Hopefully we'll be popping up as of next week. We'll do some more on Cooper Flagg and all that coming up throughout all of next week. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
NBA draft coming up soon, baby. Peace out.
Boom.
It's great.